Welcome back to a further episode of our SD-WAN Deep Dive. And yet again, I'm joined by our SD-WAN expert, James Sirrett. Hi, James.
Hi, Dave.
So it's interesting what you said there. You know, if I've got internet, you know, every office in my organization's got 1, 2, or even 3, because they could have, expensive capacity, backup or secondary, tertiary through radio or a satellite, right? So I've got a plethora of IP devices, yeah? Is that where the internet stops in organizations now? I mean, because organizations deploy a lot of software on their laptops now to secure them.
But this is it. I think I'm seeing with a lot of customers, and we're seeing this trend universally, the laptops that we have are becoming more like your mobile phones. They are mobile devices that treat any network as zero trust. What we're seeing is an increase in Microsoft Defender, Global Protect, AnyConnect, VPNs on the laptop, securing those as just an endpoint. And then they'll consume more centralized cloud services now, like Cisco Umbrella, Prisma Access from Paolo, the old Zscaler solutions. Yes. They will just, no matter where they are, whether they're in a corporate office like we are today, the VPN will fire up, it will protect the laptop, and it will connect to that central service. So there's less reliance on the corporate networks from end user devices anymore. And this is great for end users because if they're in an internet cafe, they're at home, they're in the office, we all know how much hybrid working has affected us over the last 5 years. These devices are secure wherever they are. And this is the big move we're seeing. And now when you look at a typical network architecture, yes, the client devices are still safe, but they'll connect to this cloud gateway service securely. So this leaves the corporate networks. Are they a corporate network anymore? In a lot of cases, a lot of corporations do still have devices that aren't laptops. Printing is still here. A lot of people still print, a lot of stuff still earns. Franking machines, electronic lockers, body-worn cameras. There's still a lot of devices, scanners, tablets, that do need that corporate network. They're almost services that people are consuming. Yes. They might come back through the corporate data center to consume these services. Mm-hmm. No one prints direct to a printer anymore. Everyone goes through a secure print server. That would sit in the corporate network. So your corporate network's now less reliant on moving that large amount of data, and you just want to secure all those bits that can't VPN all the time. And we're seeing this shift in a few customers now.
So really, I mean, obviously with the pandemic's driving this across the City of London. We have our London office. I walk in there on a Monday, me and about 3 other people in the City of London. Friday, middle of the week, it's busy. But really, these offices have been treated like internet cafes now. That's what you're saying. And you need to treat your endpoint as well. Okay.
And I think that's how the people treat them.
That's right. Just ubiquitous access, whether it's from this iPad, laptop, then they just want it to automatically connect and off we go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good. And so that's clearly one of the drivers for SD-WAN. It really simplifies that journey.
It does.
Fantastic. Great news. Okay. So we talked there about the access layer, so the foundation, I think is Gamma class that, the underlay network. We then have the overlay. So you said earlier on that people are buying SD-WAN because they think it's cheaper. If you were a vendor, a manufacturer of SD-WAN equipment, right, what would you say? You clearly say it's cheaper, but what's the next use case, or what's the next feature of why you should buy SD-WAN?
So we are seeing massive growth in IoT, all these sort of interconnected services at sites that really do just need to consume internet bandwidth as fast as possible. Now,
so getting to that internet cloud quickly is the use case.
It's not so much about quickly, it's about in your traditional model, all traffic's backhauled to the data center. Yep. And for your corporate internet traffic, you do want to do that, whether your data center's virtual or the rest of it, because in most cases you want to see that internet traffic.
Sure.
But for your body-worn video cameras, your IoT, all those other services, do you really want to drag all of that back up to your Azure, your data center? So you need that internet access breakout. And SD-WAN is facilitating this. There's other ways to do it as well with MPLS, breaking it out through your ISP. SD-WAN normally is a great way to deploy this straight away. You can just break these traffic out. Most users now have gone to Office 365 or Google Cloud, G Suite, and they're using these now cloud provided Office app services.
Okay, so in a typical organization, then take my 400 site or enterprise, all the Microsoft 365 traffic will just break out the local connection, won't go anywhere near any central control, it won't go through any aggregate gateway. Clearly, I understand Microsoft are preferring the public route into their cloud.
They do.
Rather than express route, which is where they used to drive us first of all. Yeah, fine. Okay, so and is that lower latency? Does that make me one step closer to the app?
It can be fractionally lower latency depending on the quality of your network. What we're seeing though is it's less bandwidth consumption in the core. Most, if you were to look with the application visibility you get from SD-WAN, you can see that a good 30% of the traffic is mail and OneDrive, SharePoint. It's all of these sort of services. Do you want to be bringing all of that up to your core, where most of the time you're not actually decrypting it anyway, you're just letting it out, you're trusting it anyway, because it's to your office environment. You can let it come out the side, not come into your overlay, and you're not then having to buy massive pipes in the core, bringing it all in or bringing it all into Amazon to then send it out and pay that egress cost from your cloud. So that's the key. It's having that local breakout capability.
So this is really interesting because many years ago when we went from IPsec into MPLS, that's how old I am, then one of the problems we had was bandwidth, as you rightly pointed out, was very expensive. Yeah. Now, there was always two schools of thought. Do we run quality or do we run quantity? Yeah. What we're seeing in this ubiquitous world of internet access is quantity wins over quality. Is that a provocative statement?
It is, but I think you're right, and that's where it's going.
So what happens? So what happens with rich media? What happens with my Gamma? Clearly, being a VoIP vendor, we have a network that's tuned to prioritize rich media, so packets that are delay sensitive. Yeah. What happens when what happens to them? Is it just there's enough bandwidth so they never break? And secondly, what happens when they do break?
So the key is, even with massive amounts of bandwidth, they're always going to be competing with data. Yeah. So all the SD-WAN appliances and our standard CE routers will prioritize that voice traffic. As long as that voice traffic is remaining within the Gamma network, we can still prioritize that over the Gamma network. If you've got a network where you're consuming from other suppliers' voice networks, you are at the mercy of the internet. Right. We had a case study recently with a large customer that ran a number of corporate help desks. They were going out and buying a big voice solution. It's actually from a competitor of ours, but we were still helping them anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
And we were talking to them, and they're a big call center provider. And this customer wanted to consume it via internet and SD-WAN. And we asked what was the design model for it. And they said, we don't know. We've never done it before. Everyone who runs big call centers has real reliance on voice, is still running MPLS for their voice. Absolutely. And we've seen that with a few of our recent clients, where they've got really big voice requirements, big call center requirements. Voice is key to their actual business. It's what they're selling and running services over. We're seeing them buy hybrid. They still want to leverage some of the benefits of SD-WAN. They know for the breakout and all the rest of it, so they're buying hybrid MPLS and DIA networks.
So what does that architecture look like, James? Explain it in more detail.
So with your hybrid approach, you have your MPLS with all the benefits of that does still entail, but you also have your big, large internet pipe with all the benefits that entails. We use then an SD-WAN appliance, and this is where SD-WAN is very clever because it's very easy to create complex routing environments for your applications. You can say Office 365, just straight out to the internet, please. Any voice, actually keep an eye on both circuits, send it the best one for voice. Right. 99% of the time, that's going to be the MPLS. But if the MPLS is degraded in any way, this is where SD-WAN really comes into its own. It will route it over the internet. It won't just fail over on an up-down. It will pick the best path. Fantastic. And so and that converge where you want good voice quality. We're seeing good use cases for that. Okay. We are. And customers are just massively upgrading the internet side of it. And especially if they've got a lot of guest traffic, lots of traffic that they're not too worried about, but just needs internet, just route it all there straight away.
So that increased visibility, where you can make routing decisions or decisions about which way the traffic goes based on the application, not the packet, has clearly got great value to the enterprise. So you've identified there a hybrid network, so basically the private path, the public path.
Yeah.
Could I also route that over another access technology? So, for example, radio, satellite. I mean, I assume it's ubiquitous across any connectivity.
Again, so of course MPLS needs that FTTC or Ethernet or all the rest of it. The next advantage of SD-WAN is it really does not care what the underlay is. You can put satellite in there, 5G, cellular, any sort of transport mechanism you want. As long as it carries an IP packet, you can route your corporate WAN, your corporate SD-WAN over the top of that.
Sure.
And then put those application specifics in, that load balancing. It has that native test the application, test the best path. It's always looking at the latency, the jitter, especially for voice, and routing over it.
So is the technology so advanced that you just tell it, this is the service level I want to achieve per application, and just leave the technology to sort it out?
Exactly. Most of it really is just define your rules.
Right.
You don't have to set your thresholds so much. You just define your rules and say, look, this is voice traffic. Please, the best for voice. And a lot of the technologies we're seeing natively out of the box, they are monitoring that mean operating service value. They're looking at the jitter, the latency. The device knows which path is best for voice and applications.
And so how are enterprises embracing that? What do they ask us to set it up and then leave it, or do they want to see how the network's performing?
So they ask us to set it up. We do set it up, and with the tools we use Highlight. It monitors and reports on all of this. We can alert on it. We can show how it's making these decisions. You can look at the devices themselves to see how it's making the decisions. So you do have it all back on a central platform where you can monitor it all and see what's going on.
So we actually, so we have customers, no doubt, within their support desk, their IT help desk, as it's classically in the organizations, where they can see the network, which they've never been able to do before, have they?
Single pane of glass has been a dream of everyone for many years.
Sure.
With MPLS and all the rest of it, many customers hadn't so much seen it. We're offering this now to an enhanced level, as our Highlight tool that we prefer has native integration with Meraki. It's part of the Meraki dashboard ecosystem, and it brings in all the layers. So if you have it through us, we can look at your switching, your VLANs, your Wi-Fi, your security appliance at the edge, your SD-WAN tunnels, your core, and you can see it all laid out.
Sure.
And where the whatever transport technology you're using, the CPU that delivers that, that's in there as well. We give that full end-to-end visibility to show where problems lie in the network.
Sure. Well, it must be very important if we go back to that model and use case that you defined before, where basically my iPad has an anywhere on VPN, and I come into the corporate office, then I could be connecting to the Wi-Fi, I could be connecting to whatever technology they're there. So monitoring that all the way through. Does the SD-WAN monitor down to the client level?
The SD-WAN has great observability across all. This is another key point with it that we're seeing in most of the stacks. It is breaking out straight away. You can see what your clients are up to.
Yeah.
Most of it doesn't offer decrypt, but it's savvy enough to know where they're going.
Okay.
It can tell you how many staff are watching Netflix overnight. You can see these things. And these are use cases that we're being brought to all the time. Why are my security guards watching Netflix all night when they should be watching the CCTV cameras? And SD-WAN is showing this straight out the box. And social media, so it picks up all the big ones, and you can leverage greater levels of that as well, depending on how much more you want to invest in it.
So today we've spoken explicitly about visibility, but it's great seeing it. How do I tune it, and what happens here? So does SD-WAN give me a faster, better network than MPLS?
It depends. Mm-hmm. So you are talking a VPN technology. That comes with encryption, so packets have to be encrypted. I guess the real beauty of SD-WAN is it gives you that application flow visibility so that you control the best path for applications. Sure. This allows you to cleanly route traffic across your network. So all that noisy, bursty traffic that's coming from your corporate guests all your IoT devices and all the rest of it, you're allowed to keep it away from the corporate network, which means your corporate network can concentrate on the applications it needs to deliver your SAP, your finance systems, those bits that you are still keeping in-house. Maybe you've got critical database applications with data you don't want to put in the cloud. We have got customers who want to do that. The SD-WAN layer allows you to cleanly keep that data away, so you can protect that traffic, route it cleanly. So yes, it becomes faster because you're actually getting rid of a lot of the noise. You're not having to cater for all the noise coming back all into your data centers. You can get rid of it cleanly and quickly.
So to summarize there, we're saying it doesn't make anything run faster because clearly physics has been defined, but actually by giving you greater visibility and control, you can tune your network to make sure that the critical applications are managed better and are monitored better. And if there's a significant change in them, we can react automatically to give them a better service level agreement. Okay, fantastic. Well, that is a great business benefit, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So which industries are adopting SD-WAN? There must be gotchas across the deployment. You know, there's always hints and tips. Which industries are you seeing embrace this first?
Retail is a very big one.
Right.
We're seeing a massive uptake in the retail market. A lot of these do just have small internet access circuits. Their key driver, especially for small retail branches, is they just need to take card payments.
Sure.
Most of the time they will just have 4G, 5G devices for that. They might have a bit of an email system or the rest of it. They don't need massive bandwidth. And an SD-WAN allows them to quickly scale and deploy out a network very fast.
Right.
Yeah, with templates, and you tend to find most of these organizations, this is where a template SD-WAN type build, zero-touch provisioning is a real benefit. You can have a template and just stamp out a network again and again and again. We've recently done 1,500 sites.
Wow.
We built it in 2 hours, all 1,500 sites. Yeah, and then the time...
That was a busy engineer.
He wasn't really. We could just code it and stamp it and stamp it. I think the field services engineers then had to go out and deploy 1,500 sites, so it's 4,500 devices. But we built and configured those 4,500 devices in 2 hours.
So which industries are maybe looking at it and turning it down?
So public sector is probably a good example there.
Interesting.
Local councils, etc. They're very close together. They're very small. A lot of public sector councils we know and dealt with in the past, they've actually got their own fibre in the ground anyway. They deployed it while they were digging up the streets. They thought, we can lay our own cables here. Especially around London, we're seeing it because they're even smaller there. They're large, but they're smaller. They might have a lot of sites, but they're all connected and they're all very close. So MPLS is still a really good technology for those people.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Another use case that I've thought SD-WAN might be helpful in is, and I call it the inside-out network. So if we look at a corporate, pre-COVID, Monday through Friday, thousands of employees inside the corporate network, invested in private secure networking behind the corporate firewall. Post-COVID, let's take Monday and Friday. I won't bring in any debate about how many people go into the office and what days of the week, but Monday and Friday, the majority of users are on the other side of the firewall, outside. So, but all my security and controls and everything I'm trying to do with that user's inside the network, they're now outside the network. Can SD-WAN help with that challenge?
So this is where SD-WAN, and most companies are now selling SD-WAN as part of their SASE solution.
I see.
And they're offering these cloud firewalls so that your corporate device becomes your mobile, as we discussed previously, and connects back up to those. This is allowing customers not to have to bring all of that corporate traffic in. They can downsize their internet pipes in their data centers, etc., because they're only servicing apps that are in their data centers now. They're not bringing in all that internet traffic from home, because most people have got home broadband and they're just going straight out. So just let them go straight out to Umbrella, Prisma Access, Zscaler. You've still got visibility of it. You can still see it. And it integrates fully with your SD-WAN solutions these days. And that's where customers are tending to go these days. These are the technologies they're looking at.
So really this SASE model is kind of almost extending the corporate controls into the public cloud. the end devices, rather than going through, funneling through the security stack, are now going to what is a virtual security stack in the cloud and going off to their SaaS applications. And again, let's use Microsoft 365 because it's the predominant application used by the enterprise. But if you still have requirement to get to corporate data, because one thing, and I'm putting words in your mouth here, James, one thing I know we know is that a lot of organizations think they have a lot more SaaS traffic than they actually have, because they've still got a lot of their core applications in a physical data center, be it on-prem, very outdated, be it more than likely into a hosting location or a location that can then tunnel into that and give them the secure, fine, okay.
Yeah, this is where they are bringing it back.
So you can see where SD-WAN is becoming a very flexible a tool across the enterprise.
Yeah, it is. It is enabling enterprises to move to that SaaS model, that SASE model, which there is a big shift towards within the markets these days. Most customers don't want a data center anymore. They don't want the hassle of a data center, and they are moving to Azure and Amazon, whether it's their own IaaS services that they're standing up. Sometimes the SaaS solutions don't quite fit what they really need as a business, and that's where the customers, we're seeing them adopt a cloud-first strategy, but that's only cloud-first. It's not the only strategy. They might then have cloud IaaS, then on-prem if they absolutely have to, but they would rather buy these SaaS solutions. And that's where the flexibility of SD-WAN really does enable them to consume whichever model they've gone with for their application.
Thanks for that. It's a really powerful technology, it sounds like. So is MPLS dead then?
It's not dead. Most of our inquiries these days are SD-WAN. We're seeing a split in the deployments. A lot of customers, nearly all customers, come to us for SD-WAN solutions. But when we get under the hood and we start talking to them, we find that actually MPLS still has a part to play in their network, and they realise that there are benefits over it. We're seeing hybrid deployments in a lot of cases. Now, the beauty of our network is it's just an access layer, just access technology. We can run SD-WAN over it, we can run MPLS over it, we can run pure internet over it on the same kit at the end of it. So what we're seeing is customers are coming back to us and maybe taking a little bit of MPLS and then SD-WAN for the remote sites where they've got international sites, and they're just leveraging that technology for those international sites when they realise that MPLS is still delivering a good service here, cost effective, and still gives them what they need. Hybrid seems to be the common deployment at the moment, so they're having an MPLS and an SD-WAN layer on top of it with a DIA circuit as well. And that's where we're seeing customers go to once they really get under the hood and have a look at it.
So getting into a little bit more of the architecture discussion here. So if I am in Azure or I'm in AWS, clearly I can't put my hardware in there, yeah? So how does SD-WAN support that?
So all vendors are now offering on-ramp solutions to the clouds for the people who do have IaaS in clouds. Of course, I think the move these days is away from IaaS in clouds. Some customers still have it, but every vendor has an on-ramp platform.
Right, so there's a tool, there's a package I can just deploy, build in, or Gamma will deploy that for them, and then we have an SD Edge on there.
We can connect to your Amazons, your Azures. They've all got ways of doing it, and there's multiple ways of doing it.
Been well thought out, hasn't it?
It has.
Thanks, James. Great debate there, and hopefully our customers will find it of great interest. Hope you did actually find it of great interest, and keep your eyes open for the next episode. Thanks for joining us.